Welcome to yet another episode of Not Yet Mature, the podcast series talking about life and business, the mix between the two, and hopefully allowing the entrepreneur and founder to find some insights of what the path looks like, or rather, should look like ahead. XCAP has a vision that the ethical business that is formed around servitude and relational transactions should be given the advantage to exit the finite space and enter the infinite games. This, collectively, is our mission and our goal. Without further delay, let's dive into today's chat. Here with me, your host, founder of Exemplo Capital, Dion Richter. Like and subscribe. The usual.
If you are a business owner, an entrepreneur, employee, or find yourself in the position of work, I guess, this is a lacquer one. This one is for you. I want you to really think about this one. Close your eyes. Okay. In the last week, let's say the last month. No, let's say the last week. In the last week, you have been part of or started a conversation with the following. Correct me if I'm wrong. You started a conversation with the following. Did you see? Have you seen? Or I saw the other day. Am I right guessing that? That's how you started a conversation or you were part of a conversation like that? What followed those statements was most probably something that you saw on a form of digital media or can be motivated or agreed with by something on social or digital platforms. When you talked about crypto, when you talked about marketing trends, the war, a funny story about whether, about whatever, about the latest business topics, investment ETFs, where the next holiday should be, politics, what the ANC is busy with, or honestly speaking, with anything, whatever, chances are that topic was stimulated or inspired by an event, reel, a short, a video, a meme, something that you saw on a digital platform. Now, still keep your eyes closed. The content of that video, think about it. What was the visual setup like? Chances are it was 1 to 2 people, sometimes maybe more, each with a microphone, having a conversation. Am I right? If I'm right at this point, this podcast is something that you should listen to. And if you don't quite say, maybe not, I'm not that engaged with digital media, anything like that, I'll still maybe say, listen to this podcast, listen to this episode at least, and see why audiences relate the way they do and what are the biggest trends. Not going to be a super long episode. So, I guess let's just continue jumping into it. I guess we've already started. So, I don't know if you saw Blaze.ai, Monday.com, Formula One, luxury brands, realtors, and quite literally every service provider, especially SaaS, software as a service or service as software. I always get confused which one's which. Marketplaces, authors, all of them are changing the way they advertise. And they do it cheaper than actually ever before. Now, here's a disclaimer. And no, my podcast is not famous at all. You can see the amount of views, but our channel and studio, however, is part of our marketing offset plan and busy building quite the engaging traction worldwide. Something that we're proud of. So take it from that point of view. The last time you checked out a news service, watched a viral clip, or talked about something you saw in the news, think about that setup. There was a boom arm, a conversation, and a microphone in the scene. It's podcasting. Podcasting is so much more than this, than what you are listening to right now. It has changed the way we engage with our audience and changed the way we introduce our services. Now, let's for a brief moment just pause there. this point, the only thing you are currently thinking about is it's not relevant to me. We do not sell those type of products. It's not relevant to me because I know we are a church or a non-digital organization, etc. You actually want to listen to this. Marketing is everything in a business. Marketing is not the pamphlet you print out. Marketing is a building a voice around a brand and letting that brand speak to a wider audience. Marketing is, in essence, is communication. And the more authentic it is, ironically, the more successful it is. And why is that? Simple. With all the fake news, conspiracies, scam and con artists, phishing techniques and more, consumers no longer, generally speaking, trust the buy now best offer deals. As a matter of fact, the last time you bought something online, the first checkup point was, do I trust or can I relate over do I need or what is the cost? Consumers everywhere, including you and me, will spend countless hours reading reviews and listening content about a brand, as we want to be in the position to decide for ourselves whether we trust someone or not. Now, what does this mean for a company? Well, marketing has become a bit easier, although yet more condensed. People want to relationally get to know the person or founder in an authentic, organic, true manner. The person behind the brand or the team behind the brand. Take Trump and Kamala. During their entire campaigning era, I guess, both of them started incorporating being on podcasts. The difference is Kamala went and said, listen, there's selected shows that I want to do. Here's a script. This is the questions. This is what you asked me. 5 minutes. I'm in and out. That's it. It wasn't authentic. It wasn't, it was so scripted and people didn't buy into that. People don't buy into the realism. Now, Trump, on the other hand, said, I'm an open book. Ask me anything. And so many people argued and disliked and the opposite of what he had to say. But all of them agreed that it's truthful because you can see it's unscripted. It is the man behind the course that is busy saying something linked to questions being asked that wasn't scripted or planned for in the beginning. There are serious analysts out there that says with this strategy, that was the swing vote, was using podcasts with that. Now, whether you're into believing that strategies or not, the reality is that's definitely out there. I would say analysts agree that that is the power of podcasting. Whether you listen to directly, informally, or on the sideline, or linked via other channels, that is something for that. So, if it was that powerful, let's consider another note. The clips that you saw when we did the intro kind of like exercise, those clips that you saw that influenced the initial conversation, right? The chances are that you saw 15 seconds, maybe to 90 seconds, maybe a minute and a half of a 2 to 3 hour conversation. Chances are they talked about problems and solutions over trying to sell you anything during those times. You see, if you can have a conversation, and let's be honest, all of us can, you can and you should podcast. This is how marketing changed. In the past, marketing was a pamphlet and a banner team that created content for salesperson to deliver door to door to leads and customers, and sales was the more important role. But to no surprise and no secret, those roles and rules have changed with the new era we find ourselves in. I talked about it extensively during our, sales and marketing masterclass, Black Premium Arrange. It was simply a magical experience. I was the only person there that represented from a sales point of view, and I agreed with everyone else that marketing is more important. So sales no longer is the official title in a company. It's now something like customer service or client relations or service executive, showing us that marketing has the power to sell, but yet lacks the ability to connect relationally. And we all know how that looks like, or the importance thereof. Well, at least you should if you listen to our other podcasts, right? So until podcasts, Generally speaking, there was no way for a brand that can use marketing as a relational tool. It's never meant to be a relational tool. Podcasts are currently the easiest, most effective way to synergize marketing and sales, meaning voice and offer, into one format through one channel. It's no longer what you think it was. The importance of marketing today, well, industrial era was supply and demand, whereas digital is trust and knowledge, then only instant gratification, then only the continuous relational minimum viable expectations. Business, sales, and strategic next are actually slightly easier than what you think it is. Keep this as a rule. With so many options out there, leads spend more money with those that they trust over those that actually saves them money. And you might think, do I agree with that or do I not agree with that? Do that for a test. Think about yourself in that position. Where do you spend money easier? To the one that's the biggest bargain or the one that you trust the most? And then if you trust two people equally, then you might go for the lowest offer or the best value saving that there is. Okay, so that's me getting a bit sidetracked. We tested a marketing only approach, right? This is something cool for one of our customers that we did. So we changed 3 things, and we managed to quadruple times 4 our client's revenue. A client of ours came to us in November last year with no issues. There's not like we're struggling with X, Y, Z. They just wanted to scale. It's a healthy company, doing everything by the book, doing great. Still did things great then, doing just way better now. Now, at this point, I kind of need to give some hypothetical storytelling here because I can't use their name or their actual products. It's a real story with real case studies, with real reviews, real everything on our side. More than welcome when you book meetings with us to ask me more about this in conversation, one-to-one. Definitely I can bring that in over this platform. I don't think it's the ideal, but the essence and the core of it doesn't change, and it's not a long story. So, yep. When we speak with our client, the first thing we ask with any clients, we ask them, what is unique about your product? Tell us more about your product. What does it do? And who are the players in the field? Meaning, we want to know what you think about your product, your selling technique on what you tell your audiences, and who are your competitors? Who else is the players in the game? That's usually the ballpark we want to hear from our client's point of view, and then we take that and we build on that. We see if it's a marketing issue, product issue, audience issue, go-to-market strategy issue, anything like that. So, in this example, I'm going to say our client brings out tablets, like medicine tablets. Let's say they're a pharmaceutical company, and this tablets contains a newly found element that assists the heart with cardiac health, right? Let's say that's the we call them red dot pills that consist of, let's call it a new enzyme protein. I don't care what that assists hypothetically speaking. So when we asked our client about this, product, they would say exactly that, what I said to you now. And because it is the first of its kind in the market, they've got this founder's pride. Usually, all startups have a founder's pride where they say, we're absolutely the first. There's no competitors in the game. There's no one else like us. And we advertise that way. And that's usually where I have a bit of a chuckle, a bit of a laugh, where I tell people, okay, from 7 billion people on planet Earth, all the technology we have, everything like us, your product is not that unique. I want to tell you that straight away. It is not that unique. You might think you're first in to the market, and that might be true, but let me tell you how the consumer thinks. So pause for a moment. Your uniqueness is based on the element or based on the object or whatever in your medication, right? That is what you see as unique. However, your customers, your clients, your leads, your consumers, whatever you call them, your prospects, what they see is something that is good for cardiac health, for heart health. Now, how many products out there, including bananas, do you think has positive attributes or positive effects on cardiac health? Countless. That is the players in the consumer's mind for this. Because why? When they go into a state of a health scare, a cardiac scare, they start researching everything about cardiac health, and they'll find everything, maybe including your product. What they will do then is they won't have time to compare everyone with each other. They'll go and say, I've got $800 a month or 1,000 Rand a month or whatever the amount is. I'm going to walk into a shop. I'm going to see what is accessible, what looks great, and I've already seen that element, that element, that element. There's about 20 products that is good for my cardiac health. And I'm going to choose one based on a different mentality, not what you're going to tell me what to do that. So we do this and we put founders' pride aside. And we said, listen here, let's not be that exclusive. Let's not think we're that exclusive or inventive or first of its kind or whatever. Every single thing out there, go on Temu, go on Kickstarter, go on everything that launches technology. It will say first of its kind, innovative technology, what every single one uses that words. So we took this client, we decided to change 3 things. Number 1, to repackage and rebrand so that we agree with the consumer's expectations, which ultimately was a 27% increase in development per product cost. So the client wasn't too happy, to be honest, when we suggested this. The second thing is we changed selling campaigns on anything to educational campaigns. We started to stop telling people buy our product. We started educating people on the general health topic relating to cardiac health. That's what we did. The third thing is we scripted, and when I say scripted, we actually didn't script. We designed a structure around 15 episodes of podcasts and created various marketing strategies for them. I need to add here that this client is most probably one of the most awkward people in live conversation and the complete opposite of what someone behind the camera and mic looks like. But she is authentic, true, and unlike other marketing scripts, podcasting is conversational, guided over conversationally scripted, if that messy sentence makes sense. So November to March, this episode is recorded in March. We did 4 times revenue with 3 minor changes at 4 major outcomes. Podcasting is marketing's number 1 biggest tool today, period. And to be as bold as to say that if podcasting does not form part of your marketing strategy, do actually blame yourself when audiences become disengaged, lose trust, or listen elsewhere. And you might, I'm going back to my number 1 rule, you're going to say, it doesn't apply to my industry. I want to tell you now, put yourself in that pool. When people talk about brands, when they saw something, when they motivate something, when they think about anything else, they don't necessarily remember who did the talk, who did the subject, but they'll say, I saw today, I see yesterday, I watched this video, I watched it. It will be 99% of the time from a marketing point of view, extracted from a podcast that wasn't trying to sell you or, and that's where it came from. So obviously we are here to equip the entrepreneur. We are here to give tips and thoughts and things that you can take away from this. So the number 1 thing that we want to say is the importance of podcasts. Don't throw it away. Reach out to us, see where we can help. You can always improve on anything. But here's a couple of points that, I think there's about 20 things that we want to add to your table, add to you, give to you today. Maybe it's of help, maybe it's not. Let's jump straight into it. So tips, thoughts, pointers, however you want to see this around podcasting. Number one, you are not having a conversation with other people. You are having it with your team or with yourself. People are just tuning in. And it's such a viable thing or important thing to remember. The reason why people don't want a podcast is they think I need to now be an actor or present something in front of a camera. It's not the fact. As a matter of fact, John Savage always says that the listeners that tunes into your podcast are most probably you cannot influence them by buying them. It's a natural tune in, but the content you get from that podcast you can use in every single strategy out there. So there's so much room for error. And because the purpose of podcast is to be relational, it needs to be organic and true, you would actually find the best conversations out there is the non-scripted ones, is the normal conversation. So if you are able to talk, you are able to deliver a story. Pause. This morning, I actually saw one of my friends in the USA. I didn't see him in the USA. I saw one of his posts. That's the point I want to make. He now went into podcasting. Now, he's got such an amazing life story, testament, help, everything, journey that I think when I saw it, it's like, of course you should have a podcast. It's the greatest thing. You'll be so famous. Mistake number one he made, he's decided to use AI to be the voices of his podcast. I'm like, AI shouldn't tell that story. They do it great. It's not a bash against them. As a matter of fact, we also have AI-generated podcast content for the mere purpose of what we're busy doing for other brands and would like to show that to you. I think we actually presented a snippet of it from another point of view, another episode. In any case, this guy, so I write to him and says, listen here, you should be doing this. AI should not be your voice. You should be your voice. So if you can have a conversation, that organic conversation, people want to tune in. And you might just need some guidance on how to do that, the gear, the setup, and everything like that. Play around with it. You can make as many mistakes as you can. It doesn't matter. Okay? It doesn't matter. Number two, a 30-minute conversation will give you around 20 to 40 social media engagement possibilities. Money for value you would never find anywhere else better. The next one is, if you are in business, you should be into podcasting. You just have the wrong idea or thought about it, and that's the only reason you have this fear or actually thought of not doing it in the first place. It is applicable to you. Podcasting is how people connect with your true value system. Podcasting is a way for your audience to connect to your culture and beliefs and the way you do things, because they get to see the behavior, the thought, the interaction of the person who developed those systems in the first place. The next point is, podcasting is the biggest trust builder than any other tool out there. Any other tool. Because it is organic. You can see the person. You can, even if you think about companies like Blaze AI that uses podcasting as a form of advertisement. Now, they're doing it wrong. You can clearly see it's a scripted conversation that they're having, and you can immediately pick that up. But they understand the value of the microphone in the footage to use that for marketing campaigns. So, I have, apart from that 12 closing facts, or not facts, tips, headlines, that I feel that I want to share with you today. Authority and thought leadership. Podcasting positions your brand as an industry leader by sharing insights, expert opinions, and unique perspectives that build or ultimately aims to build credibility. Unlike social media posts or blog articles, podcasts create an intensive, intimate experience. Listeners feel like they're having a personal conversation with your brand. While everyone fights for attention on social media, podcasting is still relatively untapped, and it provides a blue ocean of opportunity to stand out. People can listen while driving, exercising, working, and unlike video or text content that requires full attention, although this can include that, this boosts engagement and retention. I've said it before, one podcast episode can be repurposed into blogs, social media clips, emails, YouTube videos, maximizing all your content efficiency. Consistently showing up in your audience's ears builds a familiar voice, which leads to trust, brand loyalty, and long-term customer relationships. Podcast transcripts, show notes, and episodes summaries improve search rankings, making it easier for potential customers to actually find your business. Podcasting allows businesses to showcase their values, culture, and unique voice in a way that text-based content simply cannot match. And unlike quick scroll content on social media, podcasts keep listeners engaged for 20 to even 60 minutes, creating more impactful storytelling opportunities. Beyond brand awareness, businesses can monetize podcasts through sponsorships, ads, affiliate marketing, or exclusive content subscriptions. So that possibilities also comes out there. Interviewing industry experts and leaders opens doors to collaborations, partnerships, and new business opportunities. And then obviously, unlike social media where algorithms dictate reach, podcasting provides direct access to audiences without interference. So it's kind of like future-proofing your brand's visibility. And the intentions and heart behind podcasts, and you are actually capable of this, is know this. You know, if you think about it, storytelling has been around forever. It's how we pass down history before we had books. It's how we connect as people, how we remember things, and honestly, how we make sense of the world as we have it today. And when it comes to podcasting, storytelling isn't just a nice to have, it's the heart of the whole thing. I mean, think about the podcasts that you love, all the snippets that you love coming from podcasts, right? The ones you keep coming back to. They're not just rattling off information like a textbook. They pull you in, right? They make you feel something. They make you care. And that's exactly why storytelling is such a game changer in this space. So why does storytelling matter so much in a podcast? Well, first, human brains are wired for stories. That's how we are made. It's just how we were built. We remember a good story way better than we remember raw facts. If I told you a list of numbers and these statistics, if I were to ask you what percentage was the markup in price per product creation for our client, I know now it's 27% because I remember the story. But if I just asked you that point blank, if you didn't recall the entire story, you might not recall the percentage. But now that I've said it again, relating to the story, connecting everything through that storytelling, you'd actually now remember this the next time. If I told you a list of numbers, you'd forget them in seconds. But if I told you a story about why those numbers mattered, maybe, like I just did, a personal experience, like I just did, something with stakes, like I just did, something emotional, the client was angry, we were excited, you would hold on to that memory way longer. And in podcasting, you don't always have the luxury of visuals. Sometimes you do, depending on how you're going to do the setup and what's your strategy with that, but sometimes you only have the audio. You can't rely on fancy graphics or body language to keep someone engaged. And even in the video side of it, the purpose is to be organic and true. All you have is your voice and your ability to paint a picture in someone's mind. That's where storytelling comes in. It fills in the gaps. It gives you or gives your audience something to hold on to, something to imagine, something to feel. All right, so now you're thinking, cool, I get it. Stories matter, but how do I actually use storytelling in my podcast? Should you continue with the podcast? And that's where the fun, where everything gets fun, I guess, if I want to put it like that as well. First off, you need structure. Every good story, whether it's in a movie, a book, or a podcast, has a beginning, a middle, and an end. You set the scene. You build the tension. And then you deliver the payoff. And that's a formula. Let's say you're doing a business podcast and you want to talk about the importance of persistence. Instead of saying, hey, persistence is key, don't give up, you could tell the story of someone who almost quit but didn't. Maybe it's your own experience. Maybe it's someone famous, like how Airbnb's founders were rejected by investors dozens of times before they made it, kind of big. And that story makes the lesson stick. And here's the other thing. Stories don't have to be long. They just have to be real. You can weave little little snippets into your episode, even if they're just a couple of sentences. Say you're explaining a complicated concept. Instead of diving straight into jargon, you could start with a quick story that illustrates a point in a way people instantly get. And that makes all the difference. Now, what about when you're having a conversation like an interview? Storytelling still applies, but it's more about putting the stories out of your guests. The best interviewers don't just ask questions, they guide people into storytelling mode. Right? Go look at Diary of a CEO, Bartlett. It's just simply amazing. If you ask, tell me about your business journey, they might just list off bullet points. But if you ask, what was the moment you almost quit? What happened? What did that feel like? That's where the magic happens. That's where you get the real, raw, memorable stuff that keeps listeners hooked. And another trick, be willing to share your own stories too. If you expect your guests to open up, show them it's okay by doing it yourself. That creates a natural, engaging flow like a real conversation, not just an interview. At the end of it all, at the end of the day, podcasting isn't about sounding smart or throwing out facts. It's about connection. And storytelling is the glue that makes that connection real. If you can master it, you would reach nations through what you're busy doing. You would reach everyone for what the voice that you're trying to create. If you can bring your audience into the story rather than just talking at them, you'll have something powerful. Something people don't just listen to, but something they remember. So next time you record, think about the story. What's the journey you're taking your listener on? What emotion do you want them to feel? And how can you make sure they don't just hear it, but actually basically experiencing it?
This is Not Yet Mature, and you are listening to Dion Richter. Thanks for being here. Please subscribe to our channels.